We all live one life, and by now I'm sure you're absolutely aware of this fact. But with that life, you can't predict when it's going to end. And when it's closer to ending, you don't want to live with any regrets, or you don't want to look back at life saying, hey, shucks, if only I had done this. So, living without regrets and what some of the people call regret minimization framework is a great way to live life. Welcome to episode 4 of the OneLife Theory podcast. My name is Rajiv. This episode, I'm going to talk about two big strategies to live the one life. And this particular episode, I'm going to go in depth into one of those strategies. And the next episode, number 5, is going to talk about the other one. So let me start with the first one, right? And for me, the first strategy is live life with absolutely no regrets. You can conquer tomorrow, and you want to have lived life where at the time of conking off you should have no regrets. Now, obviously all of us live different lives, and it's going to be very difficult for us to predict, hey, when we are 60 or 65 or 70 or whatever the age that we are going to be dying, uh, what is that's going to be actually a regret? I mean, you can maybe say 2 or 3 things, and I'll come to that towards the fag end. But thankfully, there's a lot of literature, and there's been one fantastic study or fantastic paper that's been published by a nurse who worked with a lot of terminally ill patients, and she has documented her top findings, right? And these are people who have obviously much closer to their death, and I would rather trust the nurse than my own instincts on that, because this is based on data. So let's start with what those top 5 are in the order of priority, right? So number 1, as per this, the biggest regret that people had is, I wish I had the courage to live the life I wanted, not what others expected of me. How many of us live a life that is there to please our parents, our spouses, our kids, our peers, our friends, and I don't know what else, right? And this is something far more prevalent in India, where our upbringing has been that way. And personally, for me, the way I've been defining the whole one life theory, as well as the way I've lived, at least the last 3 4 years, have been a lot more up to my own standards. And even my decisions, what I'm going to be doing next in professional life, personal life, all of that has been a lot more towards what I think I want. And not to say that in the past I have not had many of those decisions work in my way, but really, the moment you realize a big aspect of your life, it could be work, it could be a relationship, it could be anything, that you're actually doing something just to keep someone else happy, and that's not something that's making you happy, you will really want to get out of it, right? And do it in a fair way. But living any big aspect of your life just to please someone else is absolutely going to be one of the biggest regrets. And this has been said by people who are much closer to their deathbed, so you might want to certainly get off it if that's something that you're doing. Number 2, the second biggest regret that people had is, I wish I had not worked so much. Now, I'm going to come to the second strategy in episode number 5, where there's something contra to this. But if you are someone who thinks that today you are completely in the flow of work, I don't think that's so bad. And I think you should absolutely work your ass off. But if that's going to become a trend where that's going to come at a compromise of every other aspect of your life, you might want to hard question yourself whether, hey, is this a temporary thing? Is this a permanent thing? Am I going to give up other aspects of life? And it's finally a choice that you're making. And future episodes will actually talk about some of those choices. But one of the regrets that many people have had at the end is, hey, maybe I worked so much. And what was all of this for? Was it for the money? Was it, why did I miss my kids' graduation to attend one more meeting? You have to prioritize brutally. And thankfully for me, over the years, whether that was at school, whether that was at Yahoo, and all parts of my life where I have done well and some parts where I have not done well, I've always prioritized my time far better. And one of the episodes, again, in the future is going to talk about how you prioritize time so you don't land up at this regret. But I worked too much, or wish I had not worked so much, is the second biggest regret. And be aware of this if you're one of those workaholics, that this can happen to even someone who thinks they're a workaholic and all that they want to do is just work. The number 3 is, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. This is possibly, for college love stories, or people who never went with the partner that they wanted to be. Or it could also be feelings to their parents, or to their friends, or to their family, where, they just could not express at the right time. And this is something that, thankfully for me, over at least the last 3 4 years, I have made myself extremely clear in terms of being expressive. And if you are in a phase of life where you feel you should be telling something to someone, I think you should, because of the same point that you don't want this as a regret later on in life. The fourth regret that people have been talking about is I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. And I would extend this to say I wish I had been in touch with my friends and family. This is a big regret that people have. And if you're one of those who have just cut off from many people over the years, I would strongly urge you back to get back in touch, because everyone is going to conk off. And I'm not saying be in touch with everyone, but at least a select few. And if you've always been that with only a select few and have never expanded that portfolio of people, I would urge you to strongly reconsider that too. There's nothing wrong in prioritizing, but I think it's great to stay connected with people from your work life, from just your last job, people who have been friends through life. And for me, I think a deja vu happened around the similar time frame. I would say around 2017. I have to thank my school friends and all the friends that actually partnered with me to actually coordinate our 20th year reunion. This was, I would say, December 2016. We coordinated 20th year reunion for my school friends. And that was like getting 60 people from across different countries all in the same place. And that gave me so much kick. From then on, I think I have been some sort of social connector, just bringing people together so people can, get connected with each other. People can have fun. People can learn more of what each other is doing. And I love and I derive a lot of energy from that. And I'd probably do that for life. Even during the Corona lockdown, one of the things that I've been successfully able to do is organize Zoom calls with 20 25 people from different geographies. And that really gives me a lot of energy just to hear people. And for once, sometimes I keep my mouth shut. The fifth regret is I wish I had been happier. And obviously, all of this at some level is towards happiness. So I want to sort of elaborate that to say, hey, I wish I had probably been less stressed. And that's my own interpretation. We probably take too much stress on too many things. Everything from morning traffic to someone getting angry to having a fight to kid doing something wrong. We just are always a stress generation, right? And I am, this is not to say that I'm holier than thou. I have my own problems. But the moment we realize that all of this is just things that are going to pass in the larger scheme of things, we can be far less stressed. And if possible, turn around the situation to say, hey, what's something positive that I'm deriving out of it? If you're in traffic, just hear a podcast. If someone makes you angry, just look at perspective and write down maybe as to what are the other things they have done good for you. If it's something that's consistent, stay away from their life. There's nothing wrong with that. So I would say these are the 5 regrets. I'm going to recap it for you. Number one, I wish I had lived a life true to what I wanted to be and not what others expected of me. 2, I wish I had not worked so much. 3, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends and family. And 5, I wish I had been happier and less stressed. Any additional regrets to this? For example, you may be someone who has always wanted to start up, right? Or you may be someone who wants to spend time with kid on special occasions for the kid and never want to give up that. Or you may want to just travel the world. It's absolutely fine. You should have your own additional things that you feel would be regrets later on. And don't postpone anything for tomorrow if you can do it today. And I think that's the single biggest essence of these 5 regrets, because you can't predict when life is going to end. So as soon as possible, get off some of that. And I can assure you, this haircut which I did for myself today is not a big regret. It landed out as a disaster. I hope to see you for episode number 5, where I'm going to discuss the second strategy. See you soon.